as she headed for her car. "Thanks," I answered, but I wasn't sure she heard me. I shivered and hugged myself. I wasn't exactly dressed for 40-degree weather in my jeans, long-sleeved T-shirt, and blue and white striped store apron. The sun promised to warm the day later, though. Cold nights and warm days created perfect conditions for inciting maple sap to run in the veins of trees all over Indiana's most heavily forested county. Since it was only 8 o'clock, we were still in the chilly part of the cycle. "How about that breakfast?" I said in a bright tone to the professor. He laid a hand on the railing and nodded once up, once down. "Excellent idea," he said, but his now unsmiling gaze was on Sonia's silver sedan as it disappeared down the road toward the center of town. Back in the store, Turner Rao gave me a frantic look as I inhaled the welcome scents of bacon and biscuits. Dana Beadle, my able assistant since I'd opened last fall, had traveled to San Diego for a volleyball tournament. Turner was the new part-time employee I'd hired, and I'd apparently been outside a few minutes too long. He frantically flipped whole wheat banana walnut pancakes, turned sausages and strips of bacon, and rescued 2 almost burnt slices of toast. Across the room, a customer with an empty platter waved his hand in the air like he wanted his check, while another caught my eye and held up her coffee mug, signaling for a refill. I pointed Professor Connolly to a table for 2 in the corner, mouthed "sorry" to Turner, and grabbed the coffee pot. I'd restored order in a couple of minutes, grateful I'd found the slim 22-year-old to help out. Dana and I had agreed we really needed a third worker. Turner was a good enough short-order cook to man the grill, and despite his recent college degree, he didn't mind waiting and bussing tables or doing cleanup. Dana and I also wore all hats around here, although I was the only one who did the books and paid the bills. It was my business, after all. I'd purchased the rundown country store over a year ago and had used the carpentry skills my late mother taught me back home in California to carry out the renovation work myself. Now I was the proud proprietor of a popular breakfast and lunch restaurant. I also sold antique cookware and a few other odds and ends in the store, including my Aunt Adele's gorgeous yarn from her nearby sheep farm. I was almost finished renovating the second floor of the building into several rooms I planned to rent out as a bed and breakfast. The village of South Lick, in scenic, hilly Brown County, had become my home. My apartment conveniently abutted the store at the back, and I couldn't be happier. My new life would fall apart, however, if I didn't keep my customers as happy as I was. I delivered a menu to the professor and asked if he'd like coffee. "Sure." He gave the menu a once-over glance and handed it back. "I'll have the kitchen sink omelet with biscuits plus bacon, crisp, and hash browns." In the background buzz of diners chatting, silver clinking, sausages sizzling, I waited for the please. When it wasn't forthcoming, I said, "You got it." "I don't suppose you serve Bloody Marys, do you?" "Sorry, no liquor license. I decided not to mention I had an entirely legal BYOB policy in place. I didn't advertise it, but regulars knew they could bring a bottle of wine or a couple of beers to lunch to celebrate special occasions. The state restricted the practice to wine and beer only, and I wasn't allowed to pour it. Someone occasionally showed up with a bottle for Sunday brunch, but so far never for breakfast on a Friday. "I didn't think so." Connolly's mouth pulled down in disappointment. "Where's the best bar in town?" He drummed his fingers on the table. A gold ring featuring an embedded diamond dented his right pinky. I glanced at the big old schoolroom clock on the wall. He wanted a bar before 9 in the morning? The Casino Tavern on the other side of town. Actually, it's the only bar in town. A casino in South Lick had flourished for a couple of decades over 100 years ago, in the heyday of mineral springs spas. The present-day bar was a casino in name only. The conference is in Nashville, right? I'd lived in Brown County for 4 years.